Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to complete lesson 2 in our math book, and this is on page 17. Okay, on page 17, the title of our lesson is Compare and Order Whole Numbers Through Millions. It just means that today we're going to look at numbers and decide is one greater than another, less than another, or are they equal? To compare numbers, you can use place value and the symbols less than, greater than, and equal to. Remember, greater than looks like this, and you can remember it by kind of like turning it into an alligator. And the alligator loves big numbers. So he only wants to eat the biggest possible numbers he can find. So he's only going to be looking and eating toward the big numbers. Less than looks like this. So the alligator is kind of like turning his face away from the lesser numbers. And equal to looks like this, a normal equal sign. Let's look at example number 1. The table shows the table shows the 2 largest oceans in the world. Which ocean has a greater area? We have the Atlantic Ocean with this area. That's such a big number. I don't know if I can say that number. I have to plug it in my chart first. And then the Pacific Ocean has this area. I can't say that number. I gotta plug it in my chart first. All right, so let's focus on one at a time. Use my handy dandy Post-it notes to cover up the number that I don't want to look at, because sometimes my brain gets confused when there's so many numbers. So I don't want to confuse myself and look at all those numbers. I'm going to cover up the one that I'm not thinking about. And I'm just going to plug in the Atlantic Ocean's area into my chart right here. So let's see. The first digit is 0. Remember, I'm going backwards so that I can just plug everything in, and then I'll be able to decide how to read the number from there. The 6 is in the next place, and then I have the 1. Then I have a 0, a 2, and a 4. Then I have a 3 and another 3. Fabulous. That one is done. Now I'm going to move my Post-it in the opposite direction so that I'm only focusing on the Pacific Ocean number, which looks like this: 0, 0, 6, 6, 8, 1, 4, 6. Okay, so here are my 2 areas in square miles. First, I'm going to begin at the greatest place. So when I look at my place value chart, I want to find the place value that is worth the most. So I'm looking, I have the ones period, the thousands periods, and the millions periods. Which one is worth the most? I know you're thinking millions. So let's look in the millions period. And the highest value in the millions period that I've plugged in digits looks like it's tens. In the 10 millions period, I have a 3 and a 6. So I can ignore the rest of the digits here. To decide which is greater, I'm going to just start with the greatest possible place value. So I have a 3 and a 6. Which one is greater, 3 or 6? I know you're thinking 6. So the 6 is greater. So now I have to decide which symbol I put in this circle. And I remember that the alligator likes to eat the bigger number. 6 is greater, so the alligator wants to eat that 6. So greater than 6 is greater than 3. Looks like this. So now it just wants us to write this out in words, what we have already decided. 6 is greater than 3. Then 64,186,600 is greater than 33,420,160. So now we have to go back and decide what oceans is each of these numbers attached to. Okay, so 64 million, that was the Pacific Ocean. So the Pacific Ocean has a greater area. Okay, let's try example number 2. The table shows the area in square miles in different countries. Use place value to order the countries from...
The office, please. This is Godwell. Can you please come to the office? Thank you.
It's just like being in school. Use place value to order the countries from greatest area to least area. Okay, so now we have more numbers to work with. We have more countries to work with here. So it's going to get a little more complicated, but it's the same process the whole way. So first you want to line up the ones place. Remember, the ones place is at the end. So you want to take all of your digits in the ones place and line them up. Make sure you're keeping everything in a nice straight line when you do this. So we have, these are the ones, these are the tens, these are the hundreds, these are the thousands, these are the 10,000s, these are the 100,000s, and this is the millions. Okay, so everything has to be lined up perfectly when we're comparing big numbers like this. So then we look at the greatest place value first. The greatest place value here is the millions place. And then we decide, what is the highest digit here? The greatest digit here is 2. 2 is greater than 1 and 1. So the country that starts with a 2 is Australia. So Australia is going to be first. And I'm just going to write like a number 1 next to it up here, because that's going to help me remember that was first. And then I'm going to completely get rid of it. So 2 is greater than 1. So Australia has the greatest area. The next step is to compare the digits in the next place. Okay, so I'm done with those ones, and now I'm looking at the 100,000s place to compare. Let me get my handy dandy Post-it here so I don't have to look at numbers I don't want to see anymore. 2 is greater than 0. So, India has the next greatest area. Let's circle number 2. Let's put a number 2 next to India. And then after I decide that, I'm going to cross it off my list. The next place is actually, since 1,068,296, 1 million is definitely greater. Is definitely greater than 125,000, because 125,000 doesn't even have a millions place. It only has, the highest place it has is 100,000s place. So I know that's definitely going to be the smallest country, the country with the least area, which means that the area of Argentina is greater than the area of Norway. So let me put that on my list. So the next would be Argentina, and then the tiniest country on this list is Norway. So the order from greatest area to least area is Australia. That's what we have for number 1. Next we have India. Next we have number 3, Argentina. And last we have Norway. Okay. guided practice. So here we go. I want you to do these with me. Let's try these together. See what you know. Write less than, greater than, or equal in each circle to make a true sentence. So this first one, we have 655,543, 556,543. All right, so which one's greater? We're going to look at the highest place value and look at the digits. I have a 6 in the 100,000th place here and a 5 in the 100,000th place here. Now, you're not always going to have you're not always going to be comparing numbers that have like the same highest place value, the same amount of digits. So get in the habit of like writing off to the side, I'll do it here, the numbers on top of each other, spacing them out perfectly so they're not right on top of each other, and then write your next number right underneath. Now, you could have written them backwards. If they didn't have the same number of digits, I would have written them backwards to make sure I was putting them in the right place. But I know that these both have 6 digits in their full number, so I didn't have to do that. Then you go to the highest place value, which here is the 100,000th place, and you compare. Which is greater, 6 or 5? I know you're thinking 6, so the alligator wants to eat the number that starts with a 6. 655,543 is greater than 556,543. Okay, next one. Let's count to make sure they have the same amount of digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. So I'm going to put them on top of each other to compare, which you should do in this situation. And I don't have to write them backwards because I know they have the same amount of digits. Careful here if they try to trick you. Look at that, they're so similar. But make sure you're putting the right digits in. Alright, so let's start with our highest place. This is the 10 millions place. Okay, I got a 1 and a 1. Doesn't help me. Next place, I got a 0 and a 0. Does not help me. The next place, I have a 0 and a 2. Now I can decide which one is greater, 2 or 0. It's the 2. So this number, 10,207,301, is the one the alligator wants to eat. It is greater. Okie dokie. The next one, they are not giving us a lot of space here, so I gave you a dry erase board, and you also have a notepad or paper that I gave you. So I'm just going to do this on my graph paper because I like using graph paper for math. And I'm going to write every number they have here, and I'm going to start with the number that has the most digits. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they all have the same amount of digits, which makes my job super duper easy. So I'm just going to copy them as they are, being very careful to only focus on one at a time. 1, 4, 5, 0, 9, 9. Next. 1, 5. Line up these numbers, these digits perfectly, guys. 0, 3, 2. Next. 1, 4, 5, 0, 0, 4. The last. 1, 5, 9. 0, 2, 3. Okie dokie. Now that they're lined up, it's going to be super easy for me to decide what is the highest. lowest, and in between. Okay, though, you can see. All right, so go to your highest section. In this case, this is the 100,000th place value. So I got a 1, 1, 1, 1. Does that help me? No, they're all the same. Okay, next I have 4, 5, a 4, and a 5. Okay, so now I know I'm focusing on this and this number to decide which one is greater. So let's keep going. Ignore the 4s for now. We're just going to focus on these. 5 and 5, 4 and 9. Okay, which is greater, 4 or 9? 9. So I know this is going to be my first one. This is going to be my second greatest one because everybody else has a 4 in this place. So, done, done. Now I'm comparing these. Okay, I got 5 and 5, not helpful. 0, 0, not helpful. 9 and 0. Okay, which one's greater, 9 or 0? I know you're thinking 9. So that's going to be the third greatest, and this is going to be the least. All right, so now we just have to plug them in. Order the numbers from greatest to least. Sometimes it asks you to number them from least to greatest. Sometimes it asks you for greatest to least, so just make sure you're paying attention on what you're being asked here. So greatest to least, my greatest is going to be my number 1. 1, 5, 9, 0, 2, 3, so 159,023. Then you want to use something called a semicolon to separate your numbers, because we don't want to put just like a comma. We don't want to put nothing, because then it'll look like one big number. A comma will look like we're adding more to this number. So we use something to separate numbers in math called a semicolon. So that just means this is a colon. You probably have seen that before. And a semi, or like half colon, is like a half colon and a half comma. So it's a semicolon or semicomma. It's a dot and a comma like that. We separate the numbers that way. Okay, so this was my greatest, my number 4. When I'm done with it, I'm crossing it out because there's so many digits here, I don't want to confuse myself. Next, my second greatest is 145. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I'm doing this backwards. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, just ignore it because I don't want to restart the whole video. Okay, so I did it. See, I have to be very careful. So it's greatest to least, so it's 159,023. And then my other one that starts with a 1, 5, 154,032. See, teachers make mistakes, students make mistakes. Mistakes are okay. Okay, next. My number 3. Okay, so I was going in order. 1, 2, 3. 145, 145,099. And then my number 4, which I crossed out by accident, 145,004. 004. All right, so these are in order now from greatest to least. All right, your job today is to complete your independent practice problems. Please complete independent practice problems on page 19 and 20. And we went over yesterday what the independent practice problems are. There's here's the independent practice banner, and they're all the problems that come under that, and they do go on to the next page too. This is the Brain Builder section for if you want an extra challenge, you want to challenge yourself to see how well you can do this. Please, please, please do the Brain Builder section. It is going to literally build your brain. It's going to make you stronger at this. If that is too much for you and you're still trying to understand this itself, then skip the Brain Builders. But I trust you as 5th graders to know if you are totally getting it, do that extra challenge. I know you want to be smarter. You're going to get smarter by giving yourself some extra challenges. All right, don't forget to fill out our Google form with this. Have a wonderful day.